I became a Somm accidentally.
I went to school for psychology with a focus in child psychology.
I think it all came together pretty untraditionally. I've walked a pretty crooked path to get where I am, but I've always known I've loved food.
I love wine. I grew up with it. It's a passion. It's in my family. There's not a meal that doesn't involve wine.
I started really liking wine actually before I got into the kitchens, where I was learning about food, I learned about wine at the same time.
I was in the Marine Corps. I did crab fishing for a season. I worked construction.
I have a degree in chemistry.
I don't have a restaurant background. I actually have a really bad background for 1, pork, and 2, for alcohol. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, where both things are completely illegal.
A kitchen server and a server, an assistant somm, you're a cellar master, then you become a somm, then assistant wine director, and today a wine and spirits director.
I grew up in the woods in Arkansas on a farm. I had a very experiential upbringing. My mom's family is Italian, and there was always kind of wine around. Food was a really important part. We always ate together at the dinner table.
I was studying philosophy and political science and actually working on my master's thesis proposal, and started studying wine and making money and really enjoyed wine and figured that I could still have philosophy and political science as part of my MO, but I could do it over a glass of wine, and instead of, trying to teach in a classroom, I was teaching from behind a bar.
I have the wonderful pleasure of doing Koshan at every city and every event, and education was what it's always been about. And everything in the room, you guys will see, there's some layer of education. And this, Somm Smackdown, brings a whole new conversation to the table.
I'm a bit of what's called a size queen in the wine industry, so go big or go home, one of those things. I looked into my cellar and I went to Napa Valley and found a bottle of Baccio di Vino's Pazzo. You've got balanced fruit, earthiness, great acidity, and should be a fun wine to play with food. It's basically a Tuscan blend. Sangiovese, a little bit of Cab, a little Merlot. So it's a New World style take on an Old World wine. It's a family, the Jansens, that started it back in 1993. And so I have a rare large format of that we'll be pouring. And I'm excited to pop that bottle.
Red wines really were far more challenging for the sommeliers because so much food that is made on the Koshan tour is very elegant. These are not rustic dishes. There's no barbecue sauce being poured all over. I've never seen chefs this passionate about any food at any event. And so I'm very lucky to watch and be a part of these sommeliers choosing these really diverse and elegant red wines that reach across the aisle and are able to pair with almost anything.
So the Alguera Maranhão, it's a light aromatic red wine, really good balance of red fruit and some savory elements, oregano, other savory herbs, crushed rock and leather, and a little bit of savory meat as well. I've found that it can handle the lighter, more delicate dishes with equal ease as it does some of the richer items. Maranhão, which is the Spanish pronunciation, I think if you're saying it Maranhão, you're also correct, but the Spaniards would say Maranhão. It's actually the same as Portuguese bastardo, and very interestingly, the same as French trousseau.
A lot of these classic New World wines, they're almost always named after the grape varietal. That's very rare that it doesn't happen, whether it's in Australia or California or South America. The wines are named Malbec, Shiraz, or Cabernet Sauvignon. So you really do see the grape varietals as what people recognize. Where in Europe, it's the region that is so important to them. The grapes that are grown there are grown in the best pieces of land, and that's what makes them valuable or great.
I brought Vino Laurea Frappato 2013 from Sicily, and so it's a mid to light-bodied red wine with great cherry notes, wonderful acidity. It's just a bright, fresh wine that does wonderful with a little bit of a chill and fantastic for a warm climate here like Miami. Frappato, I think, is a very flexible red wine. And when you're thinking along the lines of like how Cru Beaujolais can be flexible with food, or even Pinot Noir, but it's a little less fussy. I mean, it's Italian.
I think passion's infectious. You see somebody who else has a lot of passion for a subject or a program or a project or a bottle of wine, and you want to learn about it. And all the way through, it's just people loving one thing, grapes.
I remember the first bottle of wine that really moved me. It was a 1990 bottle of Los Vascos Cabernet from Chile.
It was a glass of Chenin Blanc. 1998 Canoe Creek Vineyard Merlot from Chateau Ste. Michelle in Columbia Valley, Washington. And the guy that was describing it to me said, you know, when I smell this, it smells like a sleeve of Fig Newtons that you just opened. And I smelled it and I said, whoa.
There's something about it that is just, you can't put your finger on. Wine is fascinating. It's always changing. You're never gonna know everything.
I think it ties a lot of things I'm really interested in together: food, culture, travel, obviously drinking. It's one of the few things I'm good at. And my mom told me that if there was anybody that was gonna make a career out of consuming alcohol, I was gonna be the one.
Truthfully, let's get right down to it. Get out your Kleenex. I'm a sommelier because I love taking care of people. I truly do. And when I was a little girl, my grandparents used to take me to, you know, maybe it was a steakhouse on my birthday or somewhere for a graduation, and 20, 30 years later, my grandpa would say, do you remember that waitress that gave you extra cherries in your Roy Rogers? And I'd be like, yes, I do. And it's the people that make the experience. And of course, wine enhances that.
Thousands of conversations going on in your head every single day, thinking about different wines, where they're going, where they've been, how they're heading there, what's gonna go with it. And then you get one chance. Someone asks you the right question and it just pours out.
One time I accidentally pulled off the bride-to-be's mother's wig with a button on my shirt. So that was probably the most real moment for me, occupationally.